What's up, everybody? Brett here, and I'm back today casting some more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer battles. This time, this one was sent to me by Evil Sun's Big Mech, a channel subscriber. Thank you, man. I saw the replays you sent, and I chose this one because it was entitled The Clutchest Manticore. And I am super stoked to see what the little Manticore that could is going to accomplish here. So there's no Manticore on the battlefield currently, so I have to imagine it's going to be a summon. So your army, let's go over it first. Let's slow-mo it up, and let's also bring up the unit cards. We've got Battle Pilgrims in the front. Whenever I take the Fey Enchantress, I always feel like I need to take Battle Pilgrims. Like, they just go hand in hand together. You've got Foot Squires here as a secondary line. I like that a lot. They're your armor-piercing. They're a little bit better armored and are able to stand up to most Dark Elf infantry, excluding Executioners, of course. We've got the Fey Enchantress. Look at her. She's just floating above the battlefield. Totally awesome. We hover over her, we can see what abilities you decided to bring. So we've got Dwellers Below. Lord, can't get that close. Dwellers Below mixed with, we've got Shield of Thorns and Earth Blood. We've got the Favor of the Fae for a 40 melee attack buff, as well as the Chalice of Potions, which can drop a Comet of Casadora from the sky, and Mists of the Lady, which causes damage to anyone in that AoE, as well as lowering their melee attack. And then to keep all these forces fighting, we've got 2 Grail Relics, which, very interesting. It's going to give them Frenzy, which I don't know if that's redundant, because I think Battle Pilgrims already have Frenzy. Isn't that the case? But it's also applying the Icon of Devotion, which will essentially make them immune to psychology, as well as nearly unbreakable. 108 leadership, but it's probably more for the benefit of the Foot Squires, I have to imagine. We've also got in the back line the Beast Slayers of Bastion, the Foot Squires with their anti-large armor piercing. Going to be great. If there were Hydras on the battlefield or anything like that, I like to use them as a bit of a bodyguard unit. Keep them near my lord, and everything will be okay. So Questing Knights out on the flank. Do we have the Companions of Quineus? We do. Oh my gosh. So these guys, there's been lots of testing done with these units. I don't know if there's been any like revision to them at all. But they're apparently the new kids on the block. They are the strongest cav and monstrous killing unit in the game, apparently. They beat Royal Outdoor Griffites, which is insane. Yeah, physical resistance, just huge stats. It all comes down to like their weapon strength. Bonus versus large, armor-piercing damage. They are incredibly powerful. That one little change added so much. And then last but not least, guys, the Green Knight himself. Now, there is no forest, really, for him to fight in on this battlefield. So, Sacred Guardian not going to get the most value. It's what gives him his replenishment. But he is unbreakable. He does have the Blessing of the Lady, but also the Dolorous Blade, which makes him incredible in a 1v1 duel situation. Gives him melee attack, weapon damage, and armor-piercing damage. He also has like a natural 75% physical resistance. Pretty sure this stuff stacks, which is insane. So he's rocking a 95% physical resistance, but that doesn't mean he can't be nuked by magic damage, which Malice is not going to be the guy that does it. Neither is his master here, his little bodyguard unit, getting a bit out ahead of him. Probably because he's on a horse and not a Velociraptor. Cold One Knights, we've got 3 groups here. These are the anti-large variant, no doubt expecting to counter a lot of Bretonnian cavalry. Malice, with his ability to transform into Zarkin. It drains his HP, but it gives him some powerful abilities. Demon's Curse will lower melee defense and leadership in an AoE, and Blood Price does a little bit of damage to him, but gives him 22% damage resistance. So he kind of makes it up, in addition, of course, to the incredibly powerful armor piercing and weapon damage bonuses. But I would never pay too much attention to the causes minor damage to self. That damage resistance, that flat 22% ward save for 22 seconds will make that up to you if he's in a duel. So a front flat line of Bleak Swords. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Some kind of random Dread Spears. Probably just could afford that and tacked them in. And then 2 Black Ark Corsairs is a bit of a heavier hitting infantry just in the back line. We'll get crushed probably by everything here. And then Witch Elves. I don't mind Witch Elves. I would probably only bring them as an escort or as a bit of a trap, right? Witch Elves have the ability to cause rampage. So what you would do is you would put your lord here in the center. Someone might have a flying unit, a cav unit that comes in thinking to snipe your lord. Surprise, Witch Elves. You get rampaged, you get dragged down and killed. And then the Sorceress with the Lore of Beasts is, I have to imagine, going to be the MVP here. We've got Flock of Doom, and Wissen's Wild Form. Flock of Doom going to be an AoE spell, and then we also see the ability to summon a Manticore on her. The little Manticore that could. We're going to have to see. Transformation of Kadan. It has 2 charges and 13 winds of magic each. So let's see how this battle plays out now. The Bretonnians sticking together very well. Both groups of Questy Knights looking like they're rotating, changing positions. Green Knight coming to engage. The Champions of Corneas are going to do devastating damage on the charge. I would instantly be casting some sort of healing spell on them. Demon's Curse lowering their combat effectiveness. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Basically throwing away the companions right off the bat does not feel good. Dolorous Blade. Now, the Questing Knights, the standard Questing Knights want to fight infantry, but they don't necessarily want to fight anti-large infantry. Yeah, and the companions get put down right off the bat. Kind of a misplay there. You've got the Fey Enchantress, so you have the ability to counter extreme amounts of damage like that. Yeah, I mean, regrowth is the thing you want to use. And she's just kind of sitting there right now. Shield of Thorns would have been good there, but a bit of a blob around the Green Knight is going to be pretty advantageous. Chalice of Potion is going to kill several lizard boys. You can see their corpses smote upon the mountains. And now it's just a melee fight, which the Bretonnians, for once, are advantaged in. It seems to be a pretty serious, like, 1v1 across the line, with the Bretonnians winning on every front. The Cav fight was won instantly by the Dark Elves, but getting tied up on the Green Knight allowed the Fey Enchantress to get some value there. The Sorceress, the Lore of Beasts, at the moment appearing to be forgotten. Shield of Thorns going off, providing that defense for the Bretonnians, allowing them to win the front line, not just win it, but to win it in such a handy fashion that they are still in great shape and ready to fight the Cav that's coming in for a rear charge here. Cold One Knights, not really even meant. Yes, you can get some good rear charges. Yes, they'll do decent damage, but these are the anti-large variant, not the anti-infantry, and they're going to have a hard time in like a toe-to-toe fight with Battle Pilgrims and Foot Squires, especially when they're unbreakable. They're not going anywhere. Still rocking 56 leadership on these Chevron Battle Pilgrims, and they're just going to start slaughtering them. And anytime you fight around the Fey Enchantress, your stats are lowered, and you start getting drained. So having her in the midst of a melee fight is probably a good idea. Just some straight-up Battle Pilgrims versus Witch Elves. Probably the Battle Pilgrims come out ahead in that trade. Witch Elves are 800 gold. Battle Pilgrims, I think, are still 650. And a Shield of Thorns here. More physical resistance. The Master's getting dragged down, just probably from the sheer AP of the Foot Squires. And without the ability to focus the Fey Enchantress, which, I mean, they do have that ability if the Master comes in. She's going down. She got caught out. Well, she kind of let herself get caught out. She walked right up into these Witch Elves, got rampaged. And now the Master is going to take her out. Much better duelist. He's meant to fight large targets. Now, there's still good pockets of infantry here that are continuing to fight. The Black Ark Corsairs not being able to do too much versus these Questing Knights. Beast Slayers of Bastion fighting other Spearman units. Death embraces your lord. The Fey Enchantress has fallen. But yeah, this is a wet noodle contest. Now, the Green Knight is sitting in the forest, regening, in the one little wooded area on the map, totally proving me wrong. So it's becoming useful. Probably just sitting here just to attempt to regen. Also not wanting to fight while that debuff is active from Malice. So bear in mind that even if Malice goes down to a very low degree of HP, he can just pop Zarkan, go back up to full health, and then have a chance to fight again. A Flock of Doom there going off. Magic damage is what the Green Knight is susceptible against. No magic damage on Malice, but the blood price has been paid. And he's looking to jack his stats up to 720 weapon strength. That's huge. And the Green Knight's simply just going to run away. Looking perhaps to find some safety in numbers with these Foot Squires. The Battle Pilgrims, the Foot Squires, still fighting in areas, especially where these Grail Relics are active. But a Pharaoh Manticore has been summoned. Let's see how clutch it is. I'm very eager to see, because the use of the Sorceress was quite delayed. Perhaps started the battle with some low winds of magic and wanted to get to a high winds of magic. But now the Flock of Doom is going off. That's going to be enough to rout that Foot Squire. Malice, oh, you got to pop Zarkan, man. Did not pop Zarkan in time. So the Green Knight was able to get that kill. Dolorous Blade perhaps allowing him to do more damage than the Dark Elf player suspected he might be able to do in that short amount of time. But once that's active, he becomes incredibly dangerous. This Pharaoh Manticore, it does cause fear and it does cause terror. So you'll see here it's kind of routing off all of these units that were attempting to rally. The Spearmen managed to beat the Beast Slayers, I'm sure, with some help. And they're going to be chasing them off the battlefield. Always use your scrap units to chase. The Green Knight here has met up with some Battle Pilgrims and a Grail Relic. They're trying to chase off the Sorceress. I don't blame them. I think that's a good move. The Green Knight himself does also cause fear and terror, so going to be very valuable in the rout. The Master has rallied, might be able to pull some of these Dread Spears and Bleak Swords back in. The Rampage has taken effect for the Pharaoh Manticore. It's going to go in and probably absolutely destroy this Grail Relic as it does a little dance here. But then it dies. It unsummoned. So, can this Sorceress cast off another Manticore? I have to imagine that another Manticore is coming right now. She's at -9 leadership for a second there. Back up to 19. I am shocked that she didn't rout at that moment. Master coming in to duel. Let's watch the HP on the Green Knight and wait for that summon that I have to feel like is coming. The Green Knight's still sitting at 914. The Blessing of the Lady is still active. I don't know if these are cumulative. It might just be that he has 75% physical resistance, if I can correct myself, total. I think in the past that these things didn't add themselves together and you had to kind of add them together yourself. But 95% physical resistance would be absurd. But there is no magic damage left on the battlefield whatsoever. So even at 75%, I have to imagine he's doing the Lord's work. We've got some Dread Spears rallying. Some Bretonnian infantry is rallying. But the real fight here is whether or not the Green Knight can rout off the Master. And he does. Completely shattered. No reason to chase them anymore. The Green Knight can go and sit in the woods. And his healing cap, I mean, he could get up to 3,132, I think is, I don't know if that's his max. That might be his max, but his healing cap is right here. So some smaller percentage of that, maybe 90% HP, while the Grail Relic fights these Black Ark Corsairs. It needs to hold on long enough to be supported by these Foot Squires. Two decent-sized groups, one Battle Pilgrims, one Foot Squire. The Battle Pilgrims, I would just turn them around and attack these Bleak Swords, who are in greater numbers, but are wavering. And a victory there might shift the balance of power even further in your favor. Green Knight rides down the hill. Check that out. Get him, Green Knight. But I think by the time he gets there, these Foot Squires will no longer wish to battle. The Sorceress still on the battlefield. And that looks like another Manticore summon. That's probably the clutchest of Manticores, if I had to guess. The Green Knight comes in, slays several Bleak Swords. But now the Manticore is here and presumably will be routing off all of the infantry that's left. Shattered Sorceress. Okay. Alright, so no more Winds of Magic to deal with, though to be fair, she probably didn't have any ability to cast any spells. If I'm the Bretonnian player, I run from this Manticore, because the Manticore is a summon unit. It will disappear, and I would probably have gone and sat in the forest. Large units get debuffs in the forest. Oh no, one of those hits from the Manticore connected. He's down to 434 HP, and we also want the Green Knight to regen. So those two factors, well, three factors if you include the fact that eventually this would disappear, would force me to bring my Green Knight into the forest. And make the Dark Elf player come to you. He's got the infantry, you've got the mobility. And that Pharaoh Manticore managed to hit the Green Knight twice. Despite, oh my gosh. The physical resistance helped him not at all. Do Manticores do magic damage? Do summon Manticores do magic damage? I didn't notice that at all. Huh. Well, that certainly was the clutchest of Manticores. Normally, if I had to put money on it, I would bet that a Manticore would not be able to do almost 1,000 damage to the Green Knight in the time that it was summoned. I feel like what really the Manticore had going for it was that it was able to charge from the sky, and the Green Knight could never really get like a counter charge off. So good play toward the end there from the Dark Elf player, getting those cycle charges. Yeah, neither side gave up. I have to say the biggest misplay, and I think this is obvious from the beginning, the Companions of Quoneus should not have been thrown in 1v4 against Malice and all of that cav. They screened for a while. They held up that flooding of cavalry into their back line long enough, perhaps, for the front line battle to be won. You could say that there was a tactical advantage there. But you can do maneuvers like that without using some of the most expensive cavalry available to you, like the companions. And these guys are butchers in the late game. Keeping them alive would have been my top priority. Had I knew that I was throwing them into a 1v3, I would have given them the Thorns aura right off the bat, right before the charge, and then attempted to give them at least an Earth Blood as well, keeping them topped off. And then I probably would have supported with the Beast Slayers of Bastion, sending them behind. They might have gotten there a little late, but I think the Dark Elf players' moves were very obvious. They were telegraphed, if you will. The battle's very open. There's no terrain to block maneuvering. He had all of his cav on one side. So what do you do when your opponent brings all of one type of asset to one side of the battlefield? You shift your assets that counter that to that side of the battlefield as well. And in this instance, those assets would have been the Green Knight, the Companions, and the Beast Slayers of Bastion. Form some sort of tight-knit group. And also, guys, keep your Fey Enchantresses away from the Witch Elves. I know, opposite attract. We've got scantily clad women with very chaste and pious women. They came together, and it was only to the detriment of the Fey Enchantress. The Master did a good job this game of basically just sticking around, shadowing Malice, giving that Guardian aura, but not popping Zarkin in time to save him was also kind of a big factor this game. Made the battle a little bit closer than it otherwise might have been. So, guys, those are my critiques. Those are my thoughts. I thought the battle was overall very good. I understand now why it was the clutchest of Manticores. Very improbable. Like I said, if I had to put money on it, I would have bet on the Green Knight 9 times out of 10. All right, y'all. That's going to be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you would like, you can always submit replays to me on Discord. I try to get replays from various people. I try not to cast the same person over and over again. And I do need to start playing a little bit more myself. I've been very busy, real life stuff, as well as trying to manage YouTube. I'm doing college stuff now. Lots of tests, lots of reading. And I've got my kids by myself for about a week now, which I'm not new to. That's a thing that I've done before. But it also eats into your time. Everyone's been sick. One thing after another. So cut me a little slack. I would love to get more Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer content onto the channel. Just please join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. And you can send me any of your battles that you would like to. As long as they're on a current update, newest patch, please. That makes it easier to cast. And yeah. Alright, guys. Without any further ado, thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.